Faraz Johnson. Will the downturn in the economy put the brakes on the U.S. sugar buyout, stalling the governor's efforts to save the Everglades? And will lawmakers scale back the class size amendment due to a slowdown in the global bond market? All that and more on Power Play with our guests, Mary Ellen Claus, Bureau Chief of the Miami Herald, and Aaron Delott, State Reporter with the Orlando Sentinel. Welcome aboard. Let's start talking about the U.S. sugar buyout and what this means for Florida in light of the downturn in the economy.
Well, the buyout that was announced by the governor earlier this summer for $1.7 billion purchase of land from the sugar company appears to be in trouble because of the economy. And the same forces that are squeezing everybody, squeezing the banks, indicate that it may not be a good time to be trying to borrow money for this massive land buyout. And that could really interfere with the success of this cleanup program, which a congressional report has just been released saying we're running out of time.
So, Aaron, what do you think? I mean, we're looking at bonding $1.7 billion. Is now the time to do this, and can they do this?
Well, the good news is that supporters of this deal don't have to move these bonds right now. State bond experts have been cautioning for the last few weeks that municipal bond markets are frozen. City, county, state government can't really go on the market right now and raise money. For Florida, the good news is they're not California. They don't have to actually bond to pay for their day-to-day expenses, but road projects, environmental land purchases, bridges, ports, all those types of projects the state fund require bonding. So long-term, it's a serious issue.
Because we're hearing from critics that are saying, you know, now is not the time to prioritize this project. There's so many other critical needs in the state. You know, what do you think? Do you think this is going to derail the project, or do you really see this coming through?
Well, I think the overall general impression is that people are saying, let's not kill this right now. We've got to continue to move forward. These things will take years for them to pull together. There's a lot of planning, and while they need to start the process of trying to get the money, as Aaron said, it will take a while, and they're hoping that the market may show some improvement by that point.
Now, this is not the only problem that we're facing here in the state. The Class Size Amendment, 2002, the voters overwhelmingly approved the measure to reduce class sizes. And once again, it's a very costly amendment, $22.5 billion by the year 2010. Is that something that the state will be able to continue to commit to?
Well, I think it's a foregone conclusion that next session lawmakers will come back, and Republicans and Democrats will both try to work out a deal to ease the deadline for implementation of class size. It's something that actually will cost money next year to continue to implement. And the attempt to sort of water down the amendment has been, the groundwork has been laid. Representative David Simmons last year pushed this idea. So, yeah.
So are we looking at a constitutional fix or a legislative fix, keeping in mind this was a constitutional amendment?
Well, the promoters of the amendment definitely say it needs to be a constitutional fix, that the Constitution is clear, that this money needs to go in this direction. I think they're going to be fudging the definition of things, though, as they are good at doing. And they're going to say class enrollment is down in some places, so we're going to be able to use that to benefit our class size. And they'll rewrite the implementing language of this bill to allow it to mean different things than it did when they implemented it.
But will supporters of the Class Size Amendment agree with this? I mean, once again, we're talking about the teachers union. They felt very strongly about reducing the class size.
They already do agree with it. Last year they said that there needed to be flexibility in the amendment, and they've said the same thing so far going into this next session.
So any other problems that you see with it? Do you think the legislature will take this on, and will this actually free up some other dollars for the state?
I think that we are at a time in our history where things that seemed absolute are not going to be that way anymore. Everything from the class size amendment to how much debt we're going to allow ourselves to go in with things like the Hurricane Catastrophe Fund. All of those things that in the past we took for granted, we'll now have to return to. This is going to be a very difficult legislative session. We're going to have a lot of newcomers. They're going to have a lot to learn. So we've got a lot going forward.
With that, let's move on to our Power Play of the Week. Mary Ellen, if we can start with you.
Well, I suggest that it's the Obama campaign. Just as the polls started to show that Obama is holding his lead against McCain in Florida, even though it's a narrow lead, instead of taking that for granted, they are sending down their two top field generals, people that will help play, work the strategy here in Florida. And I think that was an interesting move.
Aaron?
I'm going to go with the opposite side. I'm going to go with Brian Ballard, the lobbyist extraordinaire here in Tallahassee, who is John McCain's chief fundraiser in Florida. With all of the news going against McCain the last 2 weeks, he managed to help turn out thousands for Sarah Palin's rallies around the state and raise millions of dollars for McCain.
With that, thank you, Mary Ellen. Aaron, thank you for being here with us. And to you, our viewers, thank you for joining us. For the latest on all your political news, please visit thesafeureview.com. Thank you again.